Good.
Back to some Super Metroid Randomizer action. We have a fun little Dash weekend tournament for you over this Memorial Day holiday weekend in the US. It is a 16-player single elimination tournament, best of 3 for each match, and today our first matchup is the 7 seed Nikplayer and the 10 seed kupppo. My name is DJ Webb, and I'll be bringing you this match along with my best friend Jestro on tracking. He is the man who does everything that we need to do. This is a one mode tournament. We will be racing Chozo item splits, full area, and vanilla bosses, as well as having the starter plus charge beam, which I'll talk about in a little bit, as well as a little bit different ammo ratio than normal. It's just 2-1-1, so in general, more missiles and fewer supers and more power bombs than normal. But yeah, we are off here. We'll get this synced up in a little bit as I also figure out how to adjust the audio, but have a bit of a standard start. About that starter charge beam I talked about, you'll notice in the upper right corner of our runner's HUD is the charge beam damage, which currently reads 20. Now, the eagle-eyed among you will know that standard charge beam, if you have no other beams, does 60 damage. But with the starter charge beam, you actually start with the charge beam, unlike having to pick it up in most other settings. So if you see our runners hold the shot button, they will already charge a shot. But with no charge beams collected out in the wild, it does the same as your beam damage, which is 20. If you pick up one, it'll double that to 2x. And then if you have two, pick up both charge beam item spots in the game, you will have the normal charge beam, which is 3x your normal beam damage. So our runners are started here. Chozo item split, if you are unfamiliar, is a somewhat reduced major item location split even compared to major minor. Uh, Basically, Chozo statues like the one in the room Nikplayer is, where he collected the power bomb, as well as basically boss location rewards such as the various suit or Ridley's E-Tank. Those are going to be where your major item upgrades are, the items on your tracker, as well as a little bit of ammo and a little bit of energy. That's going to mean that those are the item locations that are going to have what's progressing you through the game. The interesting thing is that items outside of those locations, like the ceiling E-Tank that Nikplayer picked up, are not considered by the logic for the most part. So you want to be getting these. Obviously, missiles and supers are great to have early, but what you need to beat the game at a pretty low percent ability is going to be on those Chozo locations. I believe there's 25, um, or if you're pedantic like me, you say 24 of them, and Morth is not randomized because it's always vanilla. But that's the basics of Chozo. It creates seeds that can be pretty fast, but can also, incentivize you to collecting a lot fewer items and, going on maybe lower tanks, lower ammo, lower equipment than you're maybe used to. So we'll see how our runners decide to go with things, as well as the starter charge beam is that I talked about. Starter plus adding, more into that. The way that Chozo works is that one of the charge beams will be part of the Chozo item set, and one of them will not, so it's just randomized in the wild. And that means, as we find our first area transition into Crocomire, neither of our runners wants to do that right now, so we're going back. That wild second charge beam upgrade can be anywhere in the game. So um, whether or not you try to go out there and find it is, one of the decisions you got to make throughout this seed. And I'll be curious to see how our runners handle that throughout this event. Last thing I should talk about before we get started into what's really going on, the map in the middle of your screen, that's the area tracker, very nicely created by T Sigma and implemented last year. It's very nice visualization of how the map is connected to itself. There's basically, I believe, what is it? It's like 10 or something hubs. I'm going to count them in a second when I'm not talking, but the rooms are gathered into centralized areas, and then certain doors within each of those areas take you elsewhere, and you may that's going to tell you how you move around the map. It may be the same as you're used to. It may not, as you saw. Normally that door to the left of Morph takes you to Green Bryn Star. Here we went to Crocomire, so that's going to be some of the stuff that you can expect. This is Chozo item location number 2 that we've checked up the 230 missiles. We got a super missile. This is definitely what the sea was expecting. You do need to be able to break ammo doors, and all we had was power bombs. So now they're going to go to BT. We'll see if any runner... Well, they would have to get bombs or screw attack, basically, to be able to check... What's that called? Gauntlet. Otherwise, likely we're going to see people going left, but right is also an option. And those are missiles BT is not going to activate without bombs being in our inventory. And yeah. Also, our runners are out of power bombs, so we're definitely going to the ship regardless. So, Nikplayer, a little bit of an advantage, mostly based on movement right now, as well as Moonfall. At the beginning is most notable when it's time saving down the shaft. Kupppo, one of the people who does not use Moonfall in our community. So yeah, as expected, Nikplayer is going to go back left, and we will see what the left side of criteria has for us. Once again, these items not at the specific Chozo locations are items that you want to pick up. They're going to help you out. Obviously, E-tanks, extra ammo, going to be good pretty much no matter what. But if you want to follow the logic closely, you got to remember what you have that is being considered and what you have that is not being considered. As our runners have diverged, Kupo's going right. And Nikplayer finding Kraid, which in vanilla bosses is really nice because it's Kraid and you can kill him. Kupo has found his way into Red Brinstar. There is a Chozo location here at Alpha Power Bombs, as well as 2 others. Red Brinstar, notably one of the places that is extremely buffed compared to even Major Minor, where it has 3 Chozo locations out of 5 total items. And yeah, Kupo's got speed, so going this way gonna be real nice, as well as, you know, finding some different things compared to Nikplayer. Speed will let him go across moat if he so chooses to go back. And just, you know, generally a nice item to have for as long as possible. Does make you go faster with a little bit of issues regarding jump height that, you know, got to deal with. But Nikplayer is going to be our first player to see a boss. Hopefully we can get that quick kill going on. So, Nikplayer finds an E-take behind Kraid. Always nice to have. Kupo is going to check up here at the top of Red Brinstar. Baccalaureate Warfare, he's definitely turning back. Energy's actually a little bit lower than you would probably like. With full supers, you do have a chance to farm these cacks down here and refill that. But yeah, he's got options. He can continue down to the rest of Red Brinstar. 4 more portals below, as well as 2 majors. One of them quite a bit more dangerous than the other to collect. And his other options are to go back and look at moat. But yeah, he's going forward. Yeah. Kupo very much looking at his health and seeing what's going on. As a player, he's found some real goodies over here, you know. 2 E-tanks, one of them on a Chozo, plus, you know, a little bit more ammo. And if this is something that Nikplayer doesn't want to do, he's basically just going to have this area advantage. And yeah, that's a West Meridia portal we're not looking at down there in the crab hole. So Nikplayer is going to be trailing behind, but with a kill of a major boss going to be up, as well as these tanks and a little bit more ammo. So we'll see. You know, it can be potentially a little while before you get back to the left side of criteria. Most likely what will happen is Kupo will find that via dropping down West Meridia from one of the upper locations. And if that's convenient, he probably will be fine. If it's very much not convenient, as high jump and speed in Red Tower, that's real nice. If that's not convenient at any point for Kupo, Nikplayer's going to be very well off having that done early. Serving a power bomb here for Nikplayer. Laying it and then returning to the ship for a save and a refill. And let's see what Kupo shows us. So, like me, actually, he is checking tube first. A lot of people like to not check tube first. I guess having high jump, have very easy jumps, but even without high jump, that's vanilla. I kind of like to just check this first. There's a crossroom jump if you need to, if you mess up or you want to come back later. That it's a little precise, but not too bad in my opinion. And you never know which of these three portals you want to follow. So, Green Brinstar, that's a good one. We shall see what happens here. The one unfortunate thing I'll say is that already finding Main Street, and we're definitely not following that down when Green Brinstar's over here. That's one of the more convenient ways for Kupo to get back to Criteria to find the left side of Criteria, as he finds the other right side of Criteria. So I will say that sparking back probably puts you in a spot where you either isolate just the portal in the middle or you isolate both the portal and Spazer, depending on how you check things. So good to have that out of the way. Didn't need to CWJ and didn't, backtrack unnecessarily. So I think you're generally happy with how that turned out. So Kupo is doing what a lot of people like to do when you find the middle of Green Brinstar, which is a little bit unfortunate, but if that's where you enter it, you kind of want to check this bottom one here just to see where it goes and then clear out the items. It's another Upper Norfair portal that's the first one we found. The other one was Lower Norfair. So Kupo still has no energy. That's going to be something to keep track of. Nikplayer with both a Chozo and a non-Chozo E-Tank is going to be healthier for quite a while over here. But Kupo is going to be the one that's showing us the new items as well as new portals. Oh, there was a croc at the middle. I probably saw that somehow, but forgot. So yeah, it was the second. And our first suit of the day. There's the various suit there at Charge Beam. Kupo will be happy, especially with his health situation, to have a suit as well as heat protection. See, he does... Yeah. Similar to what I do. He was not... I'm not sure if he tried to and missed it or isn't aware of the power bomb placement down below where you can break both the bomb blocks to charge and the bomb blocks up here. But given that this is Chozo and you typically check fewer items in Green Brinstar, your power bombs aren't as much of an issue as they could be in other modes. An Ice Beam, a very, very productive Green Brinstar. This is also one of those places where you can maybe get a glimpse into how runners are feeling about ammo and, the minor locations that you can check to get additional equipment, especially without E-Tanks. They're pretty valuable early on. And yeah, second power bomb, that's going to be real nice. Quick update for you all. I know we've been having some audio issues currently. They are working on the back end. We are going to restart some things on the behind the scenes end, so you may have a little bit of a black screen, but fear not, we will be back shortly if that happens, and hopefully we can get our audio synced with our gameplay. But in the meantime, we're gonna use our imagination to pretend that everything is normal. As our final Chozo item here in Green Brinstar is Spazer. as Nikplayer has entered here, going to do the same thing kupppo did with checking this portal here before going to the rest of the area. Is going to be as I said, we went back for a little bit, but we are, well, at least the sound is back. Hopefully video will be coming back to you soon. But judging by that sound, kupppo is going up that elevator. Hopefully we'll be able to see where it goes. I think I agree with Kip. Mother Brain may have defeated us this time. Our powers may not have been good enough. Okay, judging by the sound, I think kupppo did not appreciate wherever it sent him, so he is going to be returning and potentially going through the what was that? The lava dive portal there at the bottom of Green Brinstar. With the various suit, you'll be able to not worry about the heat damage, and there's wave beam and speed booster as chosen items there in Upper Norfair on the Bubble Mountain side, as well as we've seen the croc door, but not the single chamber door. And then you can also go left to the business center side for 2 more. We're back. Well, you all can see what's happening. I, however, cannot. Again, bit of technical difficulties, but you will be... Hopefully everything will be normal shortly. But until then, I'm just jamming to the tunes. Hopefully those of you fans of Super Metroid also appreciate the wonderful music. There it is. I can see again. So yeah, as expected, kupppo is back here. Even without my eyes, I know what's going on. Flexing for the chat. But yeah, Nikplayer, as expected, trailing him. And we'll get to see where that elevator at the top of Green Brinstar led to, that kupppo decided not to do. Lots of water areas, as well as the front of Lower Norfair, would be very unappetizing on his current equipment. Okay. West Meridia 2, thank you, Jestro, which I believe... Which one's that? West Meridia 2's Pre-Aqueduct. Another somewhat bad outcome for kupppo getting back to the left side of Criteria. That is going to be one of the storylines of this race so far. Kupppo being positionally ahead, but a boss down without the left side of Criteria knowledge. He will need to get there and kill Kraid, and although it does not have item progression that's going to hold him back, it is in-game progression, and depending on where Turian is and how much of a backtrack he needs to do, we will see how much time that costs him later in the race, compared to how Nikplayer has done this seed. But a first E-Tank found for kupppo, and here is Chozo number 1 in Upper Norfair, the Gravity Suit. So, technically, with your current equipment, you can beat the game. With that initial charge beam, you can see that they have a 60 damage ice beam. It looks like, as well, there should have been one charge beam picked up, probably the wild one. I don't know where that was. Presumably it was in Brinstar Reserve area, because Nikplayer also has it. And I didn't see it either time. But that will be a very long fight. So we shall see how this goes. Kupppo is checking this portal. When you get into situations like this where you are, in theory, well equipped to do a lot of things, what order you check things in regarding portals versus items. Kupppo has now got 3 of the 4 West Meridia portals. Somehow this is working out perfectly terrible for kupppo. He's just not going to see that bottom portal unless he goes right now, which it looks like he is, but that's going to put him farther away from Norfair, which is going to have, you know, 3 more Chozos, which you could check or not check. He's gonna save scum, but he's gonna see this. He's gonna need to kill Kraid and keep it. So potentially he could just come back to the top. I think that's pretty much his lone path forward. And yeah, so this is just gonna be the detour. He should be on parity once he gets all this done. But this is much farther out of the way than what Nikplayer did. So I'm presuming that once this is all said and done, Nikplayer will be comfortably ahead based on positioning, and it will just be up to what decisions they make from that point forward. As Nikplayer decided to do this upper Norfair traversal, coming to Bubble Mountain immediately instead of using the intended route in theory to find, you know, to get over by the wave beam. So he's going to do things in a little bit different order. Going to find whatever's at speed first before the gravity suits, and then continue onward. Also heads up to use this farm here. 5 bugs at a time is going to refill a lot of your equipment pretty quickly. You want to typically not be running around with low health and low ammo. You never know what situation is going to be put before you, and you'd like to be able to handle it regardless. Heads up plays from Nikplayer. Potential, actually, I'm going to say very likely that kupppo does not check Terminator. Although it's quick enough that he might, but you know that you can just return to the other portal and go forward. Which would be a little unfortunate considering we're already in a spot where we want to probably be checking not a ton of stuff. And that E-Tank is very valuable, especially this early on still. Our equipment says we can go anywhere, but it will be dangerous. So a grapple beam has been picked up. Nice for especially the Dragon kill, as well as can help you with some things in West Meridia. We really don't need to traverse basically any of that area in this seed if you play it the way Nikplayer has. Kupppo does get that great pick kill, 2 out of 2 here on restream game 1. Nicely done. And yep, there is that gravity suit. So once Nikplayer has checked this portal and come back, we'll be able to see pretty clearly how much time difference it was to check this left-sided criteria early versus now when kupppo's doing it, as well as Nikplayer with a little bit cleaner movement overall. Oh, he is currently deciding not to look at it, which isn't going to bite him in any way, unless he remembers it right now and decides to go back. A little bit of time lost there, but it's always peace of mind, which is nice. Always checking this Kraid tank location. Almost anything, actually, I'm gonna say literally everything except for a power bomb is useful right now. So this being a very quick check makes a lot of sense. In my prep, which has been a little bit less extensive than I would like thus far, this kind of situation is one where, especially if you found the wild charge beam, kind of major hunting and getting a few miners on the way feels good, unless you don't happen onto any of the beams, which, you know, we haven't checked Gauntlet, we're not going back there. We haven't checked Croc, we're not going back there. And, you know, there's a few other locations that in this kind of a fast seed you don't want to look at. You can very much not find any other beam, and that makes things really dicey. So how much miner hunting you do versus beam hunting on those chosen locations is definitely something to look for here. As well as just generally how many, you know, locations are you really looking at, and, you know, just how much time are you willing to dedicate versus how far away something is from your, you know, somewhat potentially streamlined path. As Nikplayer is showing us, he's interested in very little. He is just going portal hunting. No high jump area, no ice beam check. Kupppo is heading back up. So left side of the business center portal goes to the front of Lore Norfair. The worst side speed-wise, but I think if this is nothing, you take that pretty much no matter what. You know where the back goes. And ooh, the back erect ship, which is also the worst side speed-wise, but the front is going to be new information, and you would rather do Lore Norfair back to back. The risk here is, of course, that if Turian's here, you are going to lose some time on the backtrack. But I haven't been keeping my own tracker, which I normally do, so I'm gonna fill that out and figure out if it's actually. It looks to my eyes that it might be the case that this is wreck ship into East Meridia into Turian, but I'm gonna confirm that for you with my tracker as soon as I get everything loaded up. That was there. Main Street was vanilla upgrade. Where did above grade go? Okay. My eyes work sometimes and sometimes they don't. Joshua, tell me where above grade goes. In Red Tower, I can't quite see it. Oh, that's moat. That's what it is. Yeah, it looks like chat seems to confirm what I've said is true. And that is something that if you are very on point about, keeping updated with your tracker, if you notice that early on, it's really big, because if kupppo can manage to see that early, you can save a ton of time, because then you front to front LN and then you go beat the game, and it's all right there for you. As kupppo not only check the speed area, but is going to look at these 3 minor locations here at Norfair Reserve. Okay, that one. That was concrete. That one there. Backwards. Top of red. Okay, top of red. Alright, so Nikplayer is in the Fantoon fight. It will be getting boss kill number 2 down here. There it is. Looks like it was a 3-round. My apologies, I wasn't paying too much attention. Like I said, trying to get this map going. Given what Nikplayer showed us in Upper Norfair, I am not expecting barely any checks here. If I expect anything, honestly, it's left super, as kupppo is doing a little bit more thorough checking here in Upper Norfair. Only a missile at the Chozo, but there were 2 more miners here. Nikplayer proving me wrong with a right side super check. And Spring Ball is the reward here at right super. Not something that is strictly necessary. Typically, if I see that, it's high jump was 3 missiles. Pretty unfortunate, but given the 2-1-1 item ratio, you are expecting more missiles than other miners. So just really unfortunate that that's what the Chozo item was. And yeah, kupppo not going to go to Ice Beam. Just a power bomb there at left super. So a little bit unfortunate for all of our item checks currently, but kupppo is a little bit ahead as far as more missiles but 1 fewer super. Nikplayer is going over this way. I'm curious if this is potentially a realization about what we were talking about, the way this map works out. This absolutely has to be wreck ship to East Meridia to Turian to end it. So yeah, if he's realized that, cutting your losses now is good, as kupppo is currently going to do the same thing the Nikplayer has done. We'll see if he can also figure it out sooner rather than later. But if he had figured this out, right now and not gone this way, he could have been saving quite a bit of time compared to what Nikplayer's done. I don't know if it would have put him all the way ahead, especially because of how difficult Lore Norfair is right now. But That's a lot better pathing, as our runners have crossed paths. It's just, 3 E-Tank and nothing else to help you with dealing with the very high damage enemies in Lower Warfare, as well as, the front's a little bit worse than the back. You do have to do a pretty easy gravity high jump lava dive. And then, dealing with the worst room in the game enemies. Not the most fun thing, but that's one of the things about Chozo, especially, like I was saying earlier. It can put you in spots where, lower equipment, traversal and boss kills can be very valuable. As kupppo turning around right now, does look like as well he's realized that. I couldn't tell you if being here already, it would have been potentially better to go ahead and kill Phantoon. Maybe one of the 2 majors you hit on your way out helps you. I think that's a decision I'd have made if I got here before realizing, but it's fine either way. He did not go quite as far into Wreck Ship compared to Nikplayer, but we shall see. This is very much not an easy thing to do for our runners. I do not believe Nikplayer went in there and did that save, but I was looking at kupppo's side, so I could be wrong. We're gonna hopefully see this Pillar Spark set up. Decently tight short charge. Nikplayer nails it. That's gonna save quite a bit of time and health in this room. If you start waiting for that acid to rise up because you gotta wait for the power bombs, things can get dicey. And this is the new route strategy for this room, pulled off beautifully. Essentially the same item set, just no wave beam, but that doesn't really make a difference. So yeah, Nikplayer showing off some great moves. That's gonna be about as good as you could have hoped for this entry. The return route with 3 energy tanks is extremely non-trivial. It is doable if you've got great movement, but very much, that acid, it deals damage. Oh, and we've got more new route tech. Charging that spark, killing these first 2 key hunters, not only is it much safer, but reduces a lot of lag when you lay this power bomb here at the bottom of the room. Nikplayer is showing off some great skill right now and some good awareness of, good room strategies. Love to see that. Kupppo, to my knowledge, pretty much exclusively a rando player, so he may have knowledge of some of those strategies. I don't expect him to be pulling them off right now. If you mess those up, they are really risky and you can start taking a ton of damage very quickly. So, yeah. No Pillar Spark attempt. Not the easiest trick in the world, even for seasoned speedrunners. So, you're going to see quite a bit different Lower Warfare here. So yeah, what I expect here, yeah. Another unfortunate thing, the safest and easiest way to do this room uses basically all of your ammo, and you're gonna want to farm literally all of it back up to kill Ridley because your beam is the equivalent of what you use in low percent speed, which would be quite slow. With they do have the ammo to not use any beams, which is what you're gonna want to prefer, even if the farm is slow. And you can see Nikplayer, he's got 35 missiles and I believe 28 supers. Kupppo, he's going to be in for a long farm. So, it was a pretty good gap when they entered Lower Warfare. I'm going to assume Nikplayer is probably saving somewhere around 2 minutes when this is all said and done, depending on, how the exit goes. Again, pathing-wise, you would prefer to go back out the front, but with 3 energy tanks, it is very non-trivial. As kupppo is getting some good dodges here. First 2 are out of the way. Takes 1 hit. Is going to take the save. I agree with that. Better to be safe than sorry. Yeah, you can see Nikplayer firing off these final few missiles before he's going to be done with this Ridley. Some nice pogos. And there is a dead Space Pelican. We are going to get this item check here. See if we can get a reserve tank that is extra energy for the escape. You do have to manually fill it up, but useful at the very least. As kupppo, this is a dangerous room. You cannot kill these things effectively. They do quite a bit of damage, even with both suits. You can see kupppo's current energy, 54. Luckily, these metal pirates pretty much drop supers and energy, I think they can drop missiles as well, but I believe those first two are the more likely. If Speed Gaming Channels had Fun Tune, we could figure that out really quickly, but you can usually count on them to get your health back up to a much more comfortable number than it was at. Yeah, above 200 from 54. That's nice. So I'm curious to see how Nikplayer handles this. I expect to save and definitely an attempt or two to get out the front. We'll see how it goes. Given how good his movement has been thus far, I expect he'll be able to nail it. There's that powerbomb placement. You don't break this top block so that you can clip and do that D boost. That sets you up for this beautiful speedball. This is pretty much a textbook new route upper or lower Norfair. You just don't have the wave beam and you don't have bombs. But Nikplayer playing this absolutely brilliantly. Where Kupppo, like I was saying, he is going to have to do a pretty extensive farm here. Their grapple beam does make that very nice. And yeah, here it is. There's a save. I'm interested to see if Nikplayer is up on some of the newer strategies in this room. There is actually a very, very nice manip coming from that save room that's pretty new discovery as far as I know. Lets you avoid all the damage if you do the setup correctly. If I tried to explain it to you using words, I would probably get a lot of things wrong and it would be very confusing, but at some point soon, whether it's in this tournament or some of our other upcoming Super Metroid Randomizer tournaments, I assume you'll see that. Yep, no more save room bad. It's pretty consistent. You don't even need to be good at the game because I can do it. But yeah, Nikplayer is going out the back. This is the much safer path. It's a little bit longer. You're gonna have to go into Red Tower where this exits and then use that to get back to Upper Norfair. But Nikplayer feels that that's his best opportunity to win, as well as these additional minor checks on the way out. Got the Fire Flea item, as well as this missile here at Hodorubi, and there's one more on the left side. Let's see how Kupppo handles this. He's got 25 supers filled all the way up, so because supers do double damage to Ridley, instead of the typical 3 missile per super miss, you need 6, so 30 of those missiles will need to be hit, assuming every super is hit, and then Ridley will be dead. Looks like the tail ate one, so we're looking at 36 of these 55 missiles to be hit, taking it down to 19. And here, Nikplayer has a decision to make. He's dodging the first one, takes the second hit, and then uses the iframes to get past the third one. Only one hit is very nice. Kupppo is using some mid-fight power bombs. If he missed more than one, he was still fine for, just missile and super missile kill, but the later it gets in the fight, the harder power bombs are to use effectively, so threw in one for good measure. Ridley is dead. Nicely done by Kupppo. And Nikplayer says, hey, when in Rome, check out some minor locations. And another missile. Again, you can see that damage done on the, on the HUD with Spazer, Ice, and neither of the two beams. Nikplayer is doing 60 damage. Kuppos is sitting at 40. I thought they were on parity, at least at some point, but possible he unequipped a beam. De-equipping Ice Beam to farm is usually a good strat, but when you have Grapple Beam, you don't need to do that, so based on the tracker, yeah, I'm assuming Ice Beam is just not currently on, and they do have the same damage. Yeah, as stated, this was the alternate path. And look, one more minor check for the road. It's very possible this was part of Nikplayer's strategy from the get-go. Say, hey, if I go out the back, I'm going to have plenty of minor checks along the way to supplement my in-game damage versus the more dangerous and fewer item path that was the front of Lower Norfair. And yeah, going to get these 3 missiles here. Probably going to be disappointed that there was neither a super missile or a beam, but this will be very appreciated in any case. So yeah, from here, Nikplayer just has to retraverse the wreck ship, go out the front. We'll see what the pathing is in East Meridia. Finding the front first would be preferable, just because, if you get it at the back, you have to loop around to get to the Path to Dragon. And yeah, we got some very friendly, helpful people in chat, but this is a 16-person tournament. Every set is best of 3. You can see on the lower left and lower right of the very beautiful layout, there are heads that will be lit up once a player wins a race. So right now, Nikplayer, very commanding position here in this race. It'll light up orange once you won a race, and then if you get 2, that'll be it. So here, Kupppo did not farm all the way up to full like Nikplayer did. So he's in here. He's also going to take the save. And with this little energy, and also he could Crystal Flash if he went into the room to the right and farmed some power bombs, but more than likely, I think he's going to do that anyway just to be safe on the real escape. But you will likely be seeing him also follow Nikplayer out the back, in my estimation. But he does have some of those Myers that Nikplayer collected already, so he could very much be planning, hey, come back here, Crystal Flash, try to go through the front. And that'll save a little bit of time on pathing. But as we can see, Nikplayer already back in Rick Ship and has the boss done already, where Kupppo has not yet killed Fantoon. And Nikplayer doing this later, that Super Missile probably doesn't make too much of a difference if he has it before Lower Norfair compared to now, but it is going to make a difference, going forward. As Kupppo is in the dark. Fire Fleas are great because they pretty much guarantee to drop you power bombs, but on the other hand, if you kill them, the room goes dark. And without high jump especially, it's pretty dangerous. But he did have high jump. And yeah, Kupppo is electing to attempt a front escape. Like I said, it is better pathing. Just a little bit more dangerous. And he's electing to damage down via turning off the various suits. So yeah. Nikplayer is going up. A big shock to me. Once you get in this room, you do have to kill every enemy to escape, regardless of which door you use. But he's going to show off more speedrun strats, which are always fun to see in a randomizer context. He's been pulling off quite a few of them rather nicely. Okay, Kupppo needs to, with both suits, the movement is good and the enemy damage isn't as high, so he's fine. Nikplayer, I'm assuming, is just going to check these 2 items and get out of here. Unfortunately, one of them is a power bomb, which does absolutely nothing for him. Unless he wants to use all 25 of them for ice shields on the Mother Brain fight, which isn't an impossibility. I have seen, several runners, use quite a few ice shields on Mother Brain, but typically you have much more health than our runners currently do. As speaking of health, Kupppo with a very convenient energy take find here. His current health was not very high. He was probably going to be fine, but this room, the damage that you have is not super great. As you can see, Blaspheme really wouldn't help because it freezes things once they're almost dead, so you'd have to shoot them a billion times anyway. So yeah, he's going to tank the rest of this. And it is the back. So, like I said, a little bit worse from compared to what you would prefer, but it's what you got, so it's what you do. So, Nikplayer's path right now is do this loop around, you'll end up back in Aqueduct. The way the area randomizer works is left of the west sand hall at the bottom of East Meridia is a door that would normally take you to an intersection that's part of West Meridia. In area randomizer, it's coded so that loops around to a new door added in the sand hall below Botswan E-Tank by Aqueduct, and that keeps this area self-contained. If Meridia was one huge place, it would just kind of be gigantic and not really balance with the other areas, is my, theory for the reasoning of cutting things into two and doing things the way that it is done in Area Randomizer. So you'll see this coming up. We're going to traverse West Sand Hall and then go through a door that normally leads, you know, in the bottom of West Meridia where the already broken tube exists. And will be right of Aqueduct, where you can farm up if you so desire. His current ammo is good for Bot's Wound. He'd be able to kill it with all his, 10 supers. Maybe you miss a few and you'll be fine. But further than that, you would probably want a little bit more ammo for, Doors plus Dragon, although the grapple beam pretty much suits your killing needs on that front. But he says, good on the farm, let's check these items here. Get another missile. As stated with the 2-1-1 minor item distribution, you are expecting far more missiles than you are used to in what we normally play, which is 3-2-1. And a bit less, well, I guess, what is it? It's actually the same number of missiles, proportionally. It's just fewer supers and more power bombs. So Nikplayer, I guess confirming that this is Turian, he may have had some doubts. But given his backtrack from Wreck Ship, it makes sense that he had a very strong inkling at the very least that this was Turian. So, if you're not 100% sure, that check took 5 seconds, so it's fine. Yeah, Nikplayer, here in East Meridia, final boss ahead of him, post Batun, while Kupppo is entering the Faintune fight. If Duck is still in the chat, he's going to get yelled at by me because we gave him new text to replace that command, because most of that is inaccurate. But yeah, if you're curious about Dash, the Discord link should work, and the schedule is definitely right. Other than that, the basic principle is that this is a randomizer built around racing balance. Lots of opportunities for customizing things that are more in line with what we race in the community. There are other randomizers with a whole lot more of options, but some of those things like door randomizer, beam doors, alternate objectives aren't things that are raced as commonly. So the focus here is going fast, which is what we like to do here on Speed Gaming. All right. Some pretty conveniently placed E-tanks in this seed for both of our runners. Especially with, we do not have, well, 9040 is actually pretty close to complete ammo, Mother Brain, but you are going to have to use some charge shots on Nikplayer's side, and Kupppo is going to be probably quite a bit lower. He did not, well, he checked Norfair Reserve, but he didn't do some of the other upper Norfair stuff and some of the lower Norfair stuff, considering Nikplayer went out the back, so we'll see how their ammo looks comparatively at the end. And I do not expect a, top of West Ocean check from Kupppo, so gonna be down some ammo. You have to do, 60 damage. Charge beam shots are, the damage gets up there, it just takes its sweet time. The Nikplayer unfortunately missed the quick grapple there on the left side. For people who speedrun RBO, it is presumably it's more comfortable to go on the left side. Obviously, you're suitless there. But if you were just grappling, if you stand basically flush against the right wall, you can basically just get grabbed, aim up, and grapple. So I prefer the right side. Some people, both are perfectly fine. Player looked like he was trying for spike suit, didn't get it. See if he gets a beam upgrade here. No, but an energy tank. Yeah, he's gonna take that. Kupppo, yeah, right and left super. That's all I expect out of him pretty much here in Wreck Ship. But I was proven wrong earlier by Nikplayer, so who knows? Maybe I'll be proven wrong again. But that's super at the E tank, which Nikplayer path 2 on his way back through here. Pretty valuable, actually. So, a nice spark across here. Yeah, Nikplayer has done everything he needs for Turian entrance. And the way this map worked out, he's right there at the door. Just needs to get back to Aqueduct, and he'll be good to go. Looking at potentially, I think, if everything goes well in Turian, I think Nikplayer should be able to sub hour this one. It will be probably close, and extremely well played on all fronts. Obviously, early on, the story was the left-sided criteria, which did not progress you forward in the map, but did get you an early crate kill, as well as 2 energy tanks, which were always nice early. Kupppo had to pat those back in a more inconvenient way. And other than that, Nikplayer showing off very, very nice execution here in this race. And his mire hunting is also going to be rewarded, because I said a little bit at a different juncture of the race, if you're in a situation like they were where, you know, you can beat the game but your damage is kind of bad, if you hope for a beam, you can get in a situation like this where the beams do not come. And you would much rather have 90-40 than 60-30, which is, I assume Kupppo's probably going to pick up a few more items, but not too many, especially because both the Precious Missile and the Space Jump item are E-tanks. So those are things that are pretty free checks. And sparking the Aqueduct is, you know, very viable, especially because you pretty much get 2 opportunities to do it, depending on how you path back in here, but those are some quick checks. Very, very quick. Metroid 3, Metroid 1, a little bit of a stumble, and Metroid 2, he got grabbed as he does in Metroid 4. So unfortunately, without the bombs, can't get him off you without killing him. So power bombs are what we're electing for. He did have all of his ammo full, well, the projectile ammo at least. So no big sweat that final Metroid dropped much less. If you kill the Metroids with power bombs, they give you 1 drop. If you kill them with, you know, freezing them and then missiling or supering them, they give you 6, which is pretty unfortunate, but that's how the game was coded. So yeah, Kupppo is going to check these miners and pick them up unless they're power bombs. Those are the only things that don't help you at this point. And also elects not to get that reserve tank. Nikplayer, going for this baby skip, you've got everything you would want except for the wave beam, which does typically require you to jump a few more times because you have to shoot more to get rid of this bramble, but as pretty much everything is gone for Nikplayer in this seed, brilliantly executed. Interestingly, he is missiling this. I wonder if he's actually going to missile all the doors and go back, because, well, he's not, which means that he wasted 200 damage on that door. And then he wasted 200 more on that one. Going for a speed zap skip attempt here. Doesn't get it, but does get the waveless zap skip first try. So, curious about the use of missiles on those red doors. If he's been playing some map rando, he may be falsely remembering that, you know, supers do double damage, and that would make it worthwhile. However, if he was thinking supers did double damage, he would have way more than enough ammo. So potentially just a lapse of judgment, not thinking, or, you know, maybe he just likes shooting red doors with red missiles. That's what they're there for. But yeah, I believe he was at like 80-39, which is going to be, what's that? 11,700 plus 8. No, hold up. Wait a minute. 2/3 minus 1. And then 800, not 1,000. So what, like 12,500 damage in ammo, and then the rest will have to be beam shots. So what did that be? 3,500 divided by 60, something like that. My math may be wrong, but it's hard. Never do math live on stream. Pro tip for all commentators that I never follow myself. Thus far, Nikplayer's Mother Brain fight has been going quite well. Still very close to his max health, and yep, Mother Brain's head is moving forward. She's gone. Here's Rainbow Beam. I figured out my math error, which I'm sure all of you were very curious about. Alrighty, there is the end of the cutscene for Nikplayer. Mother Brain 3 phase will start now. And then he'll be off to the races as Kupppo is entering terrain. Other than the initial pathing, which, you know, put Kraid's lair a little bit out of the way, not much you can really say about what Kupppo did. Just, you know, Nikplayer's execution a little bit higher at this juncture in our scene. And, you know, also made quite a few more minor pickups, which, given we only had Ice Phaser and one of the two charge upgrades, that also paid off in a big way. So, Nikplayer looking in a commanding position to go ahead and take game one of this best of 3 series. The escape starts, and we've got everything you would normally have here in an escape. High jump, speed. Got spring ball if you want to do the blue bomber, which I've been told is not faster unless you also have screw attack, because those iframes actually allow you to do a different strategy in this room that tanks or uses iframe to go through that first enemy, as Nikplayer showed. Unfortunately missed the wall jump, so didn't quite get as good as he could have gotten. And there we have the rest of this Leodox room. See if he goes for the right side wall spark or the behemoth spark. There's the behemoth spark all the way up to the top. No bonk on that little platform there. And we're headed to the ship. Very comfortably below the 1 hour mark here is Nikplayer's finish, as Kupppo is setting up for a baby skip, the much lauded strategy where you run into the big hopper and get grabbed by your good friend the baby Metroid, who loves you like a child. But there it is, Nikplayer in first place, an official race time of 57 minutes, 32 seconds, and a game 1 victory. Kupppo shortly thereafter decided he's done everything except for kill Mother Brain, and Mother Brain's going to take a while, so save that energy for game 2. He's going to put in with the forfeit, as well as being conveniently timed while he was grabbed by the baby. And yep, that is going to be game 1 for our racers. Very nicely played. We'll get to see here as the credits roll where some of our other items are, especially those, you know, the 3 beams that we don't have clicked up. Obviously, one charge upgrade found somewhere that somehow I didn't see, and wave and plasma. All 3 of those would have been great, as well as screw attack, given how low equipment we were at the juncture of Lore and Warfare. But yeah, very nicely done. Alrighty. runners are still getting set up for the next race, so we will have a bit of a break before we go from game 1 to game 2 of this series. Those of you that are out there watching at home can get up, stretch your legs, use the restroom, get some water, maybe a snack. And stay tuned because we will have the rest of this series, whether it be one more game if Nikplayer wins game 2 or potentially 3 if kupppo can strike back in the next one. But perks of being a dev, even when your opponent finishes, we get to see your name. Shoutouts to the Dash Randomizer developers. All of them do a lot of fantastic work to get some fun stuff here for our community. Alright, so I'm curious where we were going to see our beams were located. Places we didn't check include Crocomeyer's item, which is at the grapple beam, the Gauntlet E-Tank. Yeah, we didn't check X-Ray, we didn't check Screw Attack, we didn't check Plasma, we didn't check Spring Ball. We did not check the Gravity Missile, all of those potential locations for good stuff. Bombs, that's what we would have gotten an Ice Beam. Wave was at Screw Attack, that was, somewhat on path. And Plasma Beam was at Bowling Missile, that was not on path. And let's see, Screw Attack was a Plasma Beam. And Space Jump, where was Space Jump? Space Jump was at Spring Ball. Lots of good stuff in some out-of-the-way locations. And the Chozo was at the X-Ray Scope. Power Bombs, Edakun. I guess both runners ended up going down to the Edakun's area post that portal check. Because I definitely didn't see X-Ray when we were in Red Tower. So bit of technical difficulties going on at that time. That's not a place I think I would have found personally. So hats off to these runners. Without that singular charge upgrade, it could have been even longer because we doubled our damage with that one. So that is going to end the broadcast for game number 1 of this series. We are going to cut back to the starting screen and we will be back with game 2, which should be getting started in real time shortly. So with the 10-minute delay, it'll be a little bit longer than that before we are back on your airwaves. We will see you then. Good afternoon, and welcome back to Game 2 of this Super Metroid Randomizer Dash Spring Invitational 2024. This is a round 1 matchup between kupppo and Nikplayer. Once again, my name is DJ Webb, and I am this time joined on CODs by Duck. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing good. Doing 8 things at once right now, so I'm gonna let you drive.
Yeah, as people once said to me recently, if you're doing 4 things at once, what's a 5th? You're already overstretched. But this should be a fun one. Had a good race in the first one. Pretty linear as far as the path to take through the game. Pretty much one decision point separated what they did, and then Nikplayer just a little bit faster through the seed, took a game 1 victory. And yep, we are getting started here, and we will see what game 2 brings for us.
Yeah, it's Pacific time, so it's too early in the day for a 5th.
Yes, so we'll get those things synced up for you, but our runners did start at the same time, presumably. But same general thing as last time. This is Chozo item split, full area map layout, vanilla bosses, and then the extra things with the different minor item distribution, as well as a starter plus charge beam, which gives you starter charge that does the same as your beam damage, and then 2 upgrades, which will give you 2x and 3x once you collect them, if you find them. Which last race we found 1 and not the other. It's possible you find both. It's possible you find neither.
Yeah, the dash changes are interesting. I never was a dash fan, but that was more for I just hate keeping all this different information in my head when I was running. So the changes are interesting, certainly from a racing standpoint, because there are some certain choke points that you normally get with a normal SM randomizer Vari. I guess not normal, but the Vari randomizer. So I do like, and changes are interesting. It's just when I can't keep 18 different versions of games in my head, so I tend to not play it.
It's nice with the updates they did last year, with differing potential beam damage outputs. It tells you exactly what your charge beam damage is on the HUD, so you don't have to remember a bunch of numbers or think too hard. And an interesting start. There's the charge upgrade in the wild here in the ceiling. We got screw attack to start, which is always an interesting item to get. So we'll be having potentially a different tenor of this one. Obviously, the lone charge upgrade they found the last time was decently early on, so you can make decisions with that as you come across it. But this one, third item we got after Morphball and the screw attack. So
yeah, screw attack's also one of those items that opens up like some lower Norfair hell running, especially because gravity in this does reduce heat damage, right?
not in the settings we're playing, no.
No, not in the setting. Okay, but yeah, in general, if you do find a bunch of E-tanks, which I guess is a Chozo, so we probably won't, but you can see, screw attack will just let you do some stuff in lower Norfair, but I guess in these settings, probably not going to be as big of a concern.
Yeah, vanilla bosses makes various skip quite a bit harder because Ridley's going to be down there with even more heat damage than if something else is down there. That's really the biggest choke point of whether or not you can do lower Norfair without various suit. If your other equipment is good enough, but it depends. Sometimes things are in spots that you don't check, and depending on how far you go into places that could have more E-tanks than other places, it really just depends. A little bit riskier, but sometimes risk pays off. And you can see with that the screw attack, check that old Mother Brain item, got the super missile. It's actually the case here in Chozo because the first Chozo item was screw attack. What the logic actually expects them to do is to go up to Gauntlet E-tank, and that'll open up something else. But given we got both the missile and a super, we're gonna not care about that particularly and just go here. You can still check Gauntlet. It's almost certainly one of the 3 miter items, but there is the option that it's bombs because that could open up 230. As well as potentially get you to the charge beam location depending on how the portals lay out, but a lot of people tend to not do that. That's one of those early choices you get when screw attack's your first item.
Yeah. Oh, we do. There's our power bomb. Well, that's not necessarily a logical power bomb, but does let us, gives us what we need. I kind of like what Koopa's doing a little better, getting this with this super. I assume we're gonna get the save and go right first, and then potentially come back.
Yeah, he did go right first last time. Interesting strategy with this being Chozo. If you're not checking Gauntlet regardless, as we get our first portal check here in the Red Brent Star, it's really just 2 and 2, except for one on the right is quite a bit more difficult. But item-wise, it's logically there's nothing different. And yeah, we're going right again.
Yeah, if you're gonna go do the save, unless you're gonna do the check for, like you said, the Gauntlet Chozo. If you're gonna do the save, you're just gonna come this way.
And it's just the one. We don't even have power bombs to be able to check the second. So if this is somewhere that he can continue on, which it's this set of Green Brim, which is worse unless he gets power bombs in this Green Brim Star reserve area.
Yeah, it would. It is evened out, except for the fact that we do need those power bombs. We don't have one yet. So
and if he doesn't, he does have the opportunity to get it in a not too terrible location.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is the logical power bomb here too.
Yeah, without knowing,
there's bombs and there's power bombs.
Yeah, without knowing what was that Gauntlet, which at this point is confirmed to be some sort of ammo, it's hard to say. These could have been logical power bombs if there was ammo there, specifically a super, to give you this way, but not going to be the case here.
Yeah, getting this reserve tank, not as good as an E-tank, but early on, you just want to grab whatever you can.
Yeah.
One reserve tank is also, again, just for any sort of hell running. Having one reserve tank is very nice because you can do some polish shenanigans and elevator stuff. Before Varia, if you don't have a reserve, you definitely want to pick up at least one.
And there was the logical power bombs there at charge beams. So once you get through this area, you're actually completely confirming it's either a missile or a super at gauntlet, and you're really going to be fine with skipping that completely.
I'll take your word for it. I am way rusty on this. The Chozo lot, especially for those early miners, always confuse me. So
yeah. So it's gonna be pretty. Oh well, I was gonna say they're gonna be pretty close parity wise on what they will know and have coming out of this area. However, with that grapple beam and having power bombs, mode is extremely easily checkable for Nikplayer. So we will see if that comes into play, because if you don't end up wanting to go through there, both the bottom side of this green bid star area as well as the other criteria portal take you into red tower, which is where you want to go next. So it could actually be worse, although the information could be good. We'll see what happens at mode.
Yeah, because we got those bombs and power bombs on Kupppo's side in like the best place, Kupppo's routing is going to be a little bit more efficient here overall. Just from the, because we'll be able to check that first green Brinstar thing. Probably we'll go through to check, see the red tower, come back down. You know, may decide to end up check red tower, check that other door, and they both lead to red tower. So, I think Kupppo the routing, and just by luck, right? This wasn't necessarily one person did the right thing, one person did the wrong thing, but the routing for Kupppo is a little bit faster here.
Yeah, especially if he can. So if you go through the middle green Brinstar door and criteria, if you take that into red Brinstar and just clear that top down, you end up not having to run through the bottom, which is a risk. But you may take that. I don't really know. But the good thing is neither of them in the middle portal, so you're either doing bottom up or top down from red Brinstar, which is preferable to having to make a choice.
Well, preferable if you're the favorite. If you're the underdog, you want the choices and you want to pick correctly. Is, you know, kind of how these things go. So
yeah,
even though this routing for Kupppo is working out in their favor, maybe, you know, not necessarily getting the divergence you need to get a the comeback here, but you know, plenty of game left. Plenty of game left. We haven't even really started. But
yeah, this is a more standard start to pretty much any of the typical randomizers. You know, you start the game, you go into Green Britain, you've got stuff so that you can go anywhere. You know, you've got all your ammo, you've got a couple tanks, you even got grapple, which is gonna, you know, as we said, it's gonna make Moat easily accessible for Nikplayer. It's also gonna make X-Ray easily accessible for the Red Tower play that is coming up from Kupppo's point of view, and he is actually deciding to go back because he wants to check that door. Once again, if he had decided to not do that, or if he decides to stay in Red Tower, that'll be some time save. But another E-Tank's going to be nice almost no matter what, even if it's a little bit routing inefficient. To come over here if nothing's doing.
I think Kupppo is, if I'm in Kupppo's shoes, I think I just stick in Red Tower and just hope that other door isn't a dead end. Just because, again, like we're going up.
I think he wants to clean up Moat, which, as we saw, was Tourney, which that actually is probably, if it was going to be something you couldn't do, that's probably the best knowledge-wise. It's possibly also one of this item, who knows, but I actually think if he is doing Moat, despite it feeling kind of bad for this not working out, this is probably really good, because that's one of those things that, unless, you know, like last seed where the seed absolutely made you find it dead last, pretty much, knowing that is always going to be good. Oh, he also wants 230. Well, Nikplayer chooses Gauntlet, which is interesting because if you're really, really aware of the Chozo logic, you 100% know this is a missile or a super.
High jump is... That is a really good thing.
That is quite the reward. I wasn't even thinking about 230 when I was considering this criteria play. So that's
I like maps that route like this where you it dumps you back into criteria, because then you can kind of do these early cleanups on the way back. There is our super though. You know, I guess if it's going to be a miner, that's the one you want it to be, especially with our puny sharp. Oh, so I'm not the dash expert. That charge is just our weak charge. That's tracked, right? We can find more powerful ones.
There is one more, yes, and that one will actually be on Chozo, in a Chozo spot.
Oh, did we actually find a charge already, or?
Yeah, we found one. It was at the ceiling E-Tank.
Okay, so there's 2 charged beams. Okay.
Yes.
I was not sure. So you start with a puny one, then you get a slightly better one, and then you get a full one.
Correct.
All right.
So, actually, pretty big moment coming up. If Nikplayer does not check 230, high jump is quite the movement advantage to have for the entirety of the seed. Like, the only way you're ever coming back through here is if we have to go down the meme route to, find like Kraid or Croc with some progression. So, didn't necessarily get the pathing divergence that he wanted, on Kupppo's side, but that's a monster item.
Yeah, I mean the other thing is, especially with the grapple meme, this opens up some suitless shenanigans as well. Especially if you find ice. If you find ice, we're basically good to go completely suitless.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that's... I don't know how much suitless is in logic, but it's always a thing you can do, right? Like... You do have, yeah, crab there. It's a good one to find, because that you can get some... I believe there's some additional saves that got added, but that's always a good one to find so you are a little bit safer. There's our Norfair. That's a... Should be able to get through there on this amount of health.
Yeah, definitely you can get through there. However, with 3 Chozo locations here, I think sticking around's pretty good.
Oh, well, high jump's a good movement advantage, but a Ken Fly is even better. Well, we have the bombs, but this is a much, much faster Ken Fly, especially with Spear attack.
But I mean, high jump does aid space jump. It's kind of, you got to press it a lot more, and it's just a really shallow jump with space jump. But yeah, definitely mitigated, but still more comfortable with the high jump.
Yeah, and I was also kupppo was pretty much guaranteed to find that, so it's not necessarily a advantage here for Nikplayer. But yeah, like I said, it does remove some of the advantage. Ooh, there's Varia. Again, we're both gonna get it. Maybe we don't get the space jump. I mean, like I would say that Nikplayer, does have the execution advantage in this match. If you're in Kupppo's shoes, maybe you like to play a little aggressive, just turn right around and go right back into that Norfair stuff. And I mean, it's Chozo. Like Red Tower is surprisingly dense in Chozo, where in like some other modes it's not so good.
Yeah, it's
You get 3 here, right? Yeah.
I mean, out of 5 items, there's 3 Chozos, which is like I said, pretty good. And yeah, it was. I think what you're saying, going back into the upper Norfair after finding that is it wouldn't have been necessarily a bad play with the knowledge that he has, and we'll see if Red Tower or middle could also potentially lure him away. It's another Norfair, so maybe, but
I think at this point you definitely stay. And there's
more Meridia.
Yeah. That's a Meridia Kupppo can get through with that high jump where Nick can't, though.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it's funny because that middle portal it lures both of them away from the the Chozos they haven't checked. And
yeah, but this is gonna be a big advantage for Kupppo in this in Norfair with Varia where Nick is not. So this is now Nick can pretty much get through everything here, but if Nick decides to stay, this is gonna be a lot of farming, especially to get like the speed item and stuff. You can just barely get it with this amount of health. But we'll have to farm, and that's really gonna slow you down. Another reserve for Kupppo.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's some people of the opinion that if you, especially without the variant suit, you can kind of divide Upper Norfair into Business Center and then the other side, which is where everything's hot. And if you're of that opinion, maybe you just come down here, check these 2 items, and then get out. And if that's the case, Nikplayer will be fine. He'll, make his way back up the rest of Red Tower. It's more interesting for Kupppo because both ice and space are really good, and those are the 2 Chozos. It's also the case that, he probably is going to at least get back to the spacer location because you're going to want to clean up the portals. He's got 1 portal knowledge down there, I think, and not the other 2. So probably Spazer is at least gettable for him. X-ray maybe a little bit less so, but that's the slowest one. And obviously ice, a great item pretty much all the time because of Zeb skip if you're not good at the speed Zeb skip, as well as if that's our progression through Botswoon Hallway, you want it. So
Yeah, I mean, you can see on Nick's just did a little farming there to make this a little safer. Again, just time that kupppo just doesn't need to take right now. So, um, I was saying like Nikplayer, does have a slight execution advantage here, but just taking that, it like execution like. It's frames here, frames there, and just taking the time to make those farms, especially with ice, takes a bit of time. Just having this Varia is basically sort of like nullifying that advantage right now. So kupppo is saving time here overall.
Yeah, farming versus not farming, that's not something that you can better player someone at, right? It's just, you got to do it or you
Well,
don't.
you'd be surprised.
Well,
especially in lower Norfair farming.
In a macro sense, there
Sure,
are places,
yeah.
but in a micro sense, if you're at 150, you need to help on the ice, you need to farm.
Oh, kupppo going, like, I know you were saying, like, divide it in your head mentally, which sure, but I think it makes a lot less sense when you have Varia. But I guess,
actually,
kupppo already knows where, has an option to come back. Unfortunately, has to go all the way back up through Red Tower to get there. It's going to be a little awkward.
Yeah. It's interesting because actually, so from both their perspectives, the rest
here's
from
kupppo's
perspective,
to lose with having the grapple here, not the space. Again, you're losing a little time. It's just just interesting that we're getting these little plus minuses on each side. And again, neither anyone did anything wrong or was better or anything. It's just I was saying originally I think kupppo's routing was a little bit better, but based on some of just where these items were, I think Nick is sort of making that up a little.
Yeah,
this is where Ice Beam was. Yeah.
Yeah, the problem for kupppo is that the top of Red Tower, like you said, leads back to Upper Norfair, and Nick's going to be right there and with the Varia suit. Where the bottom here is its criteria into West Meridia places, so kupppo probably is just going to, after getting the space jump, turn around and go right back where he was, where Nikplayer is just going to keep being able to move forward.
Yeah.
He's not going to have high jump, but he is going to have Turian knowledge, so there's going to be, different disparities pretty much for this entire race.
Yeah, like,
runners.
This started basically just on a left versus right choice at top. After Green Brinstar, I was saying, oh, nice little damage boost there by kupppo, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, I was saying that in the Green Brinstar, it just looked like kupppo had the better route. Oh, there's the save. So,
yeah, one of the added saves. Shout outs to, I think Mass and kupppo are the ones that found a way to code those little half state stations in that are mid-room like that.
Yeah, I think I would have been like, what the heck is that? Just accidentally save in a bad location or something. But yeah, sorry. I finally finished my thought here, but I was saying that early on kupppo had the routing advantage, and then I think this route has sort of shifted back into kupppo's favor. With getting that the space jump and getting and this Varia routing a little bit more naturally back into Varia. And again, both what they've done has been 100% natural for both of them. I think kupppo's had maybe a little bit more decision points. Maybe could have stayed in either Red Tower earlier or stayed in Upper Norfair. But yeah, very, very natural for both. And right now, I think it's kind of swung back into Nick's favor.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's a worry for kupppo, despite outside of what's currently happening with him having to path back up Red Tower to get in the Upper Norfair, is it's pretty hard to not last location Turian for him, given where it is. And if things like, checking the front of Alin, checking the back of Wreck Ship come into play, if maybe this map if this map knowledge gets, into their hands very quickly, maybe you found one portal to every boss location, that could be a huge advantage for Nick. But
yeah, the knowledge is good. Again, with I think kupppo thinking you might need to make you can always just save yourself by that, but going like, oh, I just need to make a play. The other thing is sometimes if you have maybe your last boss is Ridley or probably going to be Dragon here, you just go like, well, I hope it's at the end, on the other end here, and if it is, then I win. If not, I lose, and then it's not going to be there, unfortunately. So
yeah, especially if it comes to a situation where we can figure out that it's actually Croc there, where you really don't need to go and it's not even going to take you somewhere.
Yeah,
that's the kind of worst case scenario. As Plasma, we are already 3 times better equipped than we were last seed. As you can see, with the 1 charge beam and the ice plasma, we're at a 400 damage beam, which is better than you would see in a new route speedrun.
I will say, especially with that plasma having enough damage, I mean, you know, it's not as with only the 1 charge beam. Kupppo does have high jump and could just consider themselves in go mode once they find that plasma. So that could be huge too, because you know, I mean, Gesture or not Gesture. I looked to the right and saw the Gesture on the bottom.
Shout out to Gesture.
Yeah, our tracker. But Nick, you know, Nick doesn't have a way through Meridia where Kupppo does. So that could be that's potentially huge as well.
Yeah, you've got to be comfortable with the full RBO Dragon escape, including the flash suit for Precious Room and the grapple escape. And keeping that flash suit, you have to be like very, very RBO pilled at the current moment for that to be pretty viable. But yeah.
Man, imagine not being RBO pilled.
Yeah, I mean, Spring Ball, for example, like that's one of those things where, like, you know, then you can get out of Dragon's Room much more easily with the, you know, just a couple of Spring Ball jumps and Precious. I know Kupo's capable of the grapple escape, or I'm like 90% sure he's capable of that. But do that speed booster.
Most people in the randomizer, because it's especially when you have boss shuffle on, it becomes so useful. Because grapple's the only thing you really need to kill Dragon.
Yep. And enough health depending on your suit, you know, at the time.
Yeah. Especially being able to do it high. Pretty much everyone can do it with high jump now. Being able to do it high jumpless is really huge in that mode because. Yeah, it's one item to unlock Dragon for you, which can be monstrous. But that's not a mode we're playing, so we should stop talking about it. Yeah, this is one of my downfalls of I'm so brain broken. I'm just like, yeah, they're in go mode. Just do full RBO strats. I don't see what the problem is. And then I'm just like, I don't know why they're still checking locations. They're obviously done. It's like, Doc, not everyone's as insane as you. Like, yeah.
Insanity is a mindset for some people. We'll see what our runners decide to do. I think I would expect
Nick's just the little space jump strat through that room was really nice, really smooth. Even getting the little mock ball coming out.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I was just gonna say, Nick, I would more expect to be doing those kinds of things of the 2 runners. We did find back of East Meridia there, Lava Dive or Chronic Boost. I did not see Single Chamber, but I think Kubo's going to give us that information pretty quickly here.
I think that was a super.
No, the portal over there. The item is speed boost.
Oh, the portal.
We're gonna get it soon. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
But
portal, it's Meridia.
Other East Meridia, interesting.
Yeah. We actually have a map tracker now. We can just look.
It would make sense that my brain would tell my mouth to, or my brain would tell my eyes to look at that, and then it could tell my mouth what it sees. But
the old mouth eyes. It's like I'm gonna make an old reference from Beetlejuice.
Okay. So here's what my map is telling me.
Speed
number 1.
That's way better than a super missile.
Yeah, so what you were saying about RBO East Meridia is actually insanely good because the only other forward progress through this map is Redfish at the top of West Meridia or Meme Route at the bottom of Criteria. And Nikplayer, without the high jump, is not thinking about one of those.
I'm sorry, I asked this before and I already forgot. How much suitless is in logic in this?
So no items are in logic suitless. Well, none of the Chozo items, but traversal is. So that doesn't change regardless of the mode. So yeah, it could expect you.
West Meridia is absolutely garbage in Chozo. Yeah. It's the worst area. Yeah, I guess none of the other. So won't really be able to find a gravity suit there. And yeah, unfortunately, never really going to get easier. No real items can make it easier. You do have the one nice thing to have is space jump because it makes Coliseum free. So that does incentivize you a little bit, but yeah, you still have to know the RBO strats.
Yeah. So for example, even like me at my skill level, if I had parsed out completely what this map was already telling me, if I had Spring Ball, I would have done that because you have to come back here. And so what the current situation is So meme route, it's gonna lead you to a boss area, either wreck ship or lower Norfair, and the other side is gonna be a dead end. It's gonna be Crate or Croc, and then Redfish is gonna have the other of those. That's all that's left.
Yeah,
So
I'm not.
Nikplayer,
I'll take your word for it. I'm not processing the map. But yeah, we still haven't. Yeah, we've only seen Meridia, East Meridia as the boss location. But yeah, the other ones can only be. We've eliminated so much. They've kind of have to. This might be one of those ones where it's like a big loop, right? Because all the twos connect to each other.
yeah, I said that there's actually one other option. This could be a dead end immediately, and then the other side will be boss area, dead end.
Yeah. Yeah, we can either have one big loop and the other one's the dead end, or we can have two into a dead end and then the other two, or one into a dead end and the other two.
Yeah. So one way or another, this will dead end. You just don't know if you're going through Lower Norfair or Wreck Ship first, or both.
That was the top of West Meridia, wasn't it? Oh no, we already saw. No, that was Never mind. Yeah, okay. That was the top of Red Tower.
Yeah, top of Red Tower. Which is a place he should. I mean, he should have gone out of there because he needs to get back to Criteria, unless he's going West Meridia first. But there's no good option. Like, they're both potentially leading you. I mean, because it's so. Finding a boss area, what you actually would have preferred is to find one of the dead ends at whichever one you check first. So we'll see if that's what happens to Kupppo, especially if it's Crate. That's the best thing. But Kupppo also has the outstanding moat check, so Criteria is even better for him as far as getting new information.
This was a meme route goes to
back ship. Yeah. And because Nikplayer pretty much had to check 230 because he was going by it, getting high jump for the rest of the seed, which
this is actually potentially good for Kupppo. Again, if sort of assuming you do the East Meridia stuff, because theoretically, this would be the last area that, if Kupppo finds this last, right, it'll make checking that Turian very natural. Potentially.
It depends. So, there's a chance. So, the bad outcome is if he goes to to West Meridia and he finds Ridley into Crade. Because that means he might have to come. Well, I guess that's really not the bad outcome because the front of this is so much closer. I'm just saying, you cannot check Croc if you know everything else, but he doesn't know everything else until he finds Turian.
Right.
So, but he could check Moat before meme route, which you probably do anyway. So Turian's probably really not an issue because I think you go there before you go down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that means he's just trailing Nikplayer.
Yeah. No, what Kupppo needed to do was find, if Ridley led into like Crade.
And also has the gravity suit, because that means you don't check Rook ship items.
Right, yeah. Or you commit to the RBO insanity.
Yeah, which
it looks like
Ball would
Kupppo
allow you to do.
Well, unfortunately, Kuppо's going to find the Turian, and then this is going to commit. So, unfortunately, Kuppо is just behind in the routing. So, at this point, Nikplayer has a pretty commanding control of this seed, it looks like, because Kuppо's just behind, and like there's not really going to be. I don't know how you would even diverge at this point because I think the knowledge is pretty much the same.
The only divergence you can make is like top of ship versus not.
Yeah, but even that's just a flat divergence, right? So it's just going to save you the time. And Nikplayer's, I think Nikplayer would honestly have the time to clear all that and still be ahead.
No, I would say like Nick doesn't go there and then Kupppo gets grab or something like that. That's like the.
Oh yeah. I've always said the way you do comebacks is you don't skip items, you get stuff that other people skipped. is the way you actually make big changes in a seed. So
the art of the skip and the art of the comeback are, they exist on the margins. It's really hard to, which one's going to work for you, which one's not.
It can be really like counterintuitive, but it's like if you get to a place where you feel you're very far behind, the thing to do is actually play very conservatively and hope you get something like crazy.
There's also
check some very bad locations and that kind of stuff. So
there's other possibilities. Say the other portal over here is Croc, and Nikplayer decides to hedge and say, hey, there's one item here, there's two items in Lower Norfair, plus there's an item at Crade. That's also a place where Gravity Spike could help. There's actually quite a few. differing, item check plays that you can make at this point just because of how this map is laid out. It's very, very disparate, actually. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But this is an easy check, and regardless of how this all works out, so is the the E-Tank. So here's Dash quality of life update. Spazer's not going to be
We already
equipped.
have this item.
Yes, you do. So yeah, this happened last year and it's still in effect. Yeah, you see, Spazer, you collect it, you do not equip it. You have to do that manually if plasma's already obtained. So while it's a time loss for the the fanfare, that's pretty much all it is. And Nikplayer.
Ooh, I don't like this. You should be. I'm going to be punished extra hard for picking up that thing. It's not. I mean, it's not. I mean, you say it's quality of life. It does actually affect. It's a couple extra seconds from being, punished for that. So
Would not have picked up that missile personally. So this is also another interesting juncture because you could. So like I said, you have to come back out this way to exit this area, regardless of how long it takes to dead end. Obviously, if this is exactly gravity, you're done checking. Kind of. I would still check boss items basically because wave and charge would be great. But if this is not gravity and you don't find it elsewhere, you could route this in a little bit more conveniently at the end. And it's a charge upgrade, which is better to have early, but probably wouldn't make the biggest difference, honestly.
Yeah, with plasma already, you just went from 400 to 600. So, yeah, right now we basically have full beam with Spazer equivalent.
No, what kupppo has is a little bit better than new route beam. What Nick has vanilla.
Is it 400? Okay, I thought it was 6. I don't know my beam numbers.
Yeah, new route beam's 3, full beam's 9.
Yeah. See, I don't want the damage numbers. I need to. I don't know the numbers. I know how many shots on Ridley. That's what I memorize because that's the more important thing. That's all that matters, really. All right, or not really. But it's the same thing. But yeah.
Charge wise, yeah. But Nikplayer is going up top. I think I would have liked to go through the portal, see if it dead ends at Proxy, if it dead ends at Kraid, if it takes you through Lower Norfair, because this is one of the slower checks, and you still have a chance to come back through here and make it. So it's a bit of a hedge, but again, if you find gravity, you're not checking anything else, which could save you time. But if this isn't gravity, maybe you never check it if you get it wherever else this place takes you.
The other thing is if you maybe not confident, but you have that RBO Dragon strat in your back pocket, you can actually afford to be a little aggressive here, right? Just be like, well, if it's here, it is what it is, and I at least have an out, right? I'm not completely hosed, right?
Yep.
So again, I don't know these players' exact confidence with it, but and again, just depending, in next situation, just metagaming here, you're up around already. If you're confident in your skills and everything, just go. Especially the seed's kind of straightforward. There's a couple things you can do that are crazy, right? But just play your game, play a very straightforward game. And if your opponent does do something crazy to beat you, just GG's, and you still have another match to take the round. So being safe here when you do have a meta lead is yeah, there you go.
Yep, he is rewarded. That is the gravity suit. This was the play to make. We will see how far this dead end area goes. Especially if this is Lower Norfair into Croc, that's worst case scenario if kupppo ends up skipping this. Just because you're gonna be, priced into doing Croc at the end if you don't have gravity yet.
That's probably the only hedge kupppo could make is do this and then not follow all the way to Croc, right? And just hope it's the other place, but
that's first thing we gotta see is
that's quite a brain genius play. So
that's Kraid. So probably, because Nick's just ahead.
So this has to be top of West Maria, leads into Ridley, leads into Croc. So
yeah.
This is incredibly straightforward. There's really nothing kupppo can. Besides a death or something. I don't.
Yeah.
there's not really a lot of like plays available to Kupo at this point, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, I don't even, that Dragon play certainly would have been interesting.
I mean, if you nail that, you save a lot of pathing, I think.
Yeah, you do. You do have to get up to top of West Meridia, though, right? Which is... Yeah, you can do that, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they could have gone to top West Meridia when they both went to meme route. They have, access to the pre-aqueduct. They had high jump. They had grapple beam.
Yeah, I was just trying to restart my brain to make sure that you can actually get there. Nikplayer saying no to that extra E-tank, just not even... I'm not even sure, like, Wave? Wave is the only thing that's really going to help at all at this point.
It is, yeah.
So, but it just shows out, like, you're pretty likely to find, I guess, because you have so much, right? There's really only, there's 3 items are missing, so...
There's still some, I mean, there's,
I guess
there's still some tanks and
some
probably... I don't think we've seen either missile, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything. So, but yeah, I mean, Wave's not going to save you too much. But it's also sometimes hard to just like think what the probability of finding one new item is.
Yeah, and some items they're so close that even if you if with some thought you would think that this probably isn't the optimal play, sometimes you just kind of do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kupo's doing this how I would have done it. I would have checked this portal first, gotten the create location, and then when I don't get Grav here, that's where I'm making that choice about. Especially the upper check. Like I said, the back check is pretty much like it's as on your way as it's ever going to be. So
at this point, I actually wouldn't be surprised if Kupo just says the nuts with it and just goes right. Might not be feeling too confident in the seat at this point, and just go like, well, hopefully gravity is, in Norfair. I'm supposed to get to the top of West Meridia, go through Norfair, and make that play. But unfortunately, we know that's not going to be the answer. So.
Yep.
And even if you can pull off the RBO Dragon, it's slow. It's not going to be fast.
Yeah. With regards to Lower Norfair, that's obviously something he's very much equipped to do. Not in any better position to do East Meridia than he was when he found it. So those are all the things that could be running through your head at these decision points. Because, like I said, it's one of the slower checks. Probably. From like a normal-ish path, probably Spring Ball is a little bit more time-consuming, but that might be the only one.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm in Kupo, I kind of want to see Kupo make the top of wreck ship skip. I mean, we know it's wrong, but just because it's not going to be the answer doesn't mean that's it's kind of Monday morning quarterbacking.
Yeah,
I think Kupo skipping it probably the right thing in their shoes, but. Just gonna make it worse, unfortunately. So we'll see. We'll see what Kupo chooses here. Again, kind of like the exact opposite where that shoes that Nick is in, where I was saying that just playing it safe is good because you've got the meta lead. We'll see what Kupo decides. They might need to decide they need to play risky, or maybe again you say like, well, maybe it feels like my opponent might have skipped this and I'm gonna do it right to try to spike the gravity, which would swing it back the other way, right? So
this save is I was expecting E-Tank. It makes some sense.
If we're getting the save, I'm almost certainly going to be doing up top then. Otherwise, if you're just planning on going like, I'm gonna check this and just go, right, you wouldn't bother saving.
Yeah, I agree with that. And not knowing that you're going to get gravity and like a reset is actually probably close to time neutral, if not just a strict time save because of the maneuverability in this area. I assume he's going to keep the charge beam and then go back.
Okay, Nick really wanted that missile for some reason. Not sure why.
Yeah. Maybe he just thought I want to get up there fast. But you have space jump, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's fast to get up there, but then it's certainly not saving you 7 seconds.
Not at all. Yeah, this is interesting. It's a 600 damage beam, which it shows you on the HUD, so you know you've got a good beam. This is interesting, and you don't. I mean, E-Tanks.
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
need those.
30's great for Ridley. You just can go in and just straight up murder. But 25 plus 600 damage beam is also going to be fairly quick.
Yeah.
People actually walked out with that. I'm not even sure if walking out and then. I think it actually would have been faster just to get it again, honestly, than walking out.
Yeah, if you know you're getting gravity, I agree, but you don't.
That's true. I mean, you got to come back here either way. Like,
Yeah, this is why, and it was actually something. It was probably a month or so ago. Me, Kupppo, Mass, Kip, we ran a race, and we were actually talking about these upper rec ship checks, and even E-Tank as well. And lots of people have differing opinions on them, and also different flag sets, different modes lead to different strategies. But I think if my plan was to get gravity here, or plan on finding gravity here, and I'm going to check everything, you really could have come here first. And like I said, that E-Tank is on your way out. It'd feel horrible if gravity and that charge beam were reversed positions, obviously, but
yeah, again, it's
also a potential play.
Like, I was saying that I think the right thing for Kupppo to do is to skip this. It's actually, now it's good that gravity's here for Kupppo, because in their mind, their main thing is like, okay, I got this. This was like the worst place for it to be. Nick may have chosen to skip this, and then I'm in a good position. So, like, if I'm in Kuppos' shoes in this race, where I don't know anything about what Nick's doing, or what, I actually feel like I'm in, decent shape in Kuppos', Kuppos' shoes. It's just unfortunately not gonna work out. So, because Rando gonna Rando.
Yeah, especially because it was an even split of one boss area plus a dead end. As he has forgotten that this is not that's not the Chozo location in Chozo. That's the major map.
The funny thing is, it's an E-Tank, so it doesn't even confirm that it's not.
Yeah, it was actually remembering was actually really crucial, because you're right. I mean, frankly, like, almost nothing tells you that, because there is ammo on the Chozos. But this is where the Chozo item is, as we've seen.
Yeah, besides knowing your counts, right, and knowing that. Like,
yeah. But there's too much in front of you to know basically anything besides probably. Well, we found the power bomb. There's only one of those. Yeah. But we may not have found out of anything else.
I don't remember what the actual power bomb was.
Arch.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, here's all those supers Nick picked up coming into play. He got his 30th at Crab Super, and I'm assuming like power bombs. The Shane gave him another one. He was actually 35 max.
So what did the second charge beam replace? One of the supers, or?
When there are additional dash items that aren't normally in the game, what they replace is variable depending on the mode. I want to say in this it probably replaces the reserve tank, but all that information is actually on the website.
Okay. I just started rolling back in my head halfway through that. This is why I never played it, because just like it's too much to remember all this stuff.
Yeah. What I can tell you is that it replaces an extra copy of something that has a lot of them, and it's pretty not essential.
My favorite thing is like every SMZ3, Dash, Varia, they all have different bomb trees of behaviors, and whether or not the door picks up, whether or not you have to have bombs, whether or not you pick up the item. It's like every time I just I don't remember what this does. In this one, it's not the biggest deal usually, but like. Everyone is it's like I swear to God, they rolled the randomizer dice just for that. That's what we got to add to the randomizer. Chozo behavior needs to be added as a flag. On Chozo behavior.
This is why you gotta play. Keep your fingers on the joystick. You can't just sit around and watch.
I mean, I haven't done either in a while. So.
Yeah. I will confirm in this randomizer, Bomb Torizo's behavior is always vanilla, meaning if you have bombs, he activates, and if you don't, he doesn't. But yeah, as we see, Nikplayer, knowing that the other side of this is cracked, comes in here the back way, leaves out the back way. Didn't even check Ridley's item, which, given his check of the crate item, or there was something else he checked that was interesting.
Crate was and then he picked up those random missiles.
Yeah, but Looks like he is now done checking things. He needs to go
Yeah, I think at some
East
point you just,
Meridia from here.
especially in these faster seeds, sometimes you just go like, oh wait, like what am I doing? Like, um, you know, especially when like you get a 7-second fanfare for a missile, you go like, hey, maybe I should not be doing this anymore. Maybe I'm good. You know, I'm a pretty good SM player. I feel like my 5 E-Tanks, reserve, 35 supers, and this 600 power beam is. I feel like I can get through Mother Brain on this. You know.
Yeah. So passing from here, you got to get back into Upper Norfair, and you're definitely going to go front to front East Meridia. The easy thing to do is going to be to find, well, the front is Croc. Let's see, the front of East Meridia is its single chamber. Probably want to go into Croc entry, which is at the top of Red Brent Star. It looks like that's where Nick's going. Maybe. There's a chance I'll have my. Actually, wait a minute. He's way ahead right now, but I actually think he's going to Turian right now. This is a time loss.
No, oh, he hasn't done East Meridia. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, he's got quite the lead here, but we are going to see the rare golden 3.
God. Not only golden 3,
but you have to watch the cutscene.
Nikplayer forgot about Dre.
Ah. Nowadays, everybody talks. They got something to say. But yeah.
Oh no. We really need a forgot about Dre emote.
They exist.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
like,
they do.
I know Sloters has one. I don't know if it's like an FFZ specific channel emote or if it's something that is like a subscriber emote, but you know. That's the one. The quirk about Randomizer is that normally we have the fast G4L statue where you don't have to watch it, but if they're not all dead, you get punished. You gotta watch them before the door reopens.
Yeah,
so Nikplayer,
that's a really funny. That's kind of like the in A Link to the Past Randomizer when the little ball guy talks to you for like 300 text boxes. It's just to make you feel extra bad. Like it's a little. Now that one's a lot easier to accidentally happen, especially if you have like boots or something. You hit A, but this you have to. This only happens if you make one of those boo boos, which.
Yeah. So he wants to be on the other side of Criteria. That'll take you in the red tower, and then you can go to the one of the 2 upper Norfolk portals in there. Either the middle, which takes you to Cravenmouth, or the top red elevator takes you to Croc entry. But Nick just has to find that. Like we said, he's got some time to burn, but it's not a ton of time.
Yeah, I mean that does sacrifice a lot of your lead. But yeah, kupppo does still have to come in, kill Ridley. Maybe that extra super is going to make the difference now. That you know, going to just be that much faster on these bosses.
Yep, we will see. I'm curious. Okay, yeah, kupppo is. Well, I think he was probably going for the speed strat, but didn't quite hit or shoot the first one in time. So yeah, he's going for it on this one. I need to learn this, frankly.
You know how to do this?
I've literally just never tried. It's not on the top of my priority list.
Yeah, it's not. With high jump, it's a lot easier. Without high jump, it gets weird because like your jump is all fussy. Yeah. So I think a lot of people like just doing it from the ground without high jump.
Yep. One thing the randomizer has given us, there are a lot of ways to do a lot of rooms, and you know, in a lot of speedruns, you have very standardized item set, and it's really easy. And when you're missing like any one of those, it changes things pretty drastically. So nice to have people who like to develop strats with weird item sets, and pretty much any given situation. But yeah. kupppo, this is the best thing about this exact charge combo is it's the same number as your super missile is doing damage wise. So if you want, you can just count to 30. kupppo is preferring to supplement with some missiles, but that's an option you have. That's usually what I prefer to do. Charge shots are fast enough that I wouldn't be farming, which is what kupppo did. He did not come in with full supers and would have needed to supplement regardless. But yeah, Nikplayer has found the path.
Yeah, usually what I do in Ridley in these situations is I leave 15 supers and then we'll charge, use the rest of my ammo, use my charge down to red, and then just unload the 15. That way you just don't have to bother counting.
And
Or you know,
what I would have done was he came in with 21, so I would have just done 9 charge shots and then fired my supers. And if I missed, I would fire another charge.
yeah, but again, you have to know math at that point.
Counting to 9 is easy enough, and then you don't
No,
have
but
to count the other
you
ones.
gotta know what the beam damage is, what the actual health is. I just know like 30 shots on Ridley. That's all I know. Like,
Which is the same as supers, so that I'm sure you also know.
yeah. The exact numbers on some of this is one of the things that's kind of like leaked out of my brain. I'm like, wait, how many is it? 30, 40 shots, something like that. But yeah, I gotta get back to running this a bit.
Now you can do 11 things at once. I'm sure everyone will be happy for you.
Yeah.
Nikplayer's getting some really sick space jump into like balls to like move through these rooms pretty quickly. It's been impressive. We've been waxing about lots of different things. Meanwhile, Nick has been, for the second consecutive seed, absent that little bit of a misroute to the G3,
And
been playing fantastically.
And the
This
old
is what happens when you talk about people playing well.
what is that, like 164th halfy?
Goofy 2 to the -8 halfy. That's the comments on this one.
Kip, you have a horrible definition of fun.
I'm sure the person that made Super Metroid Impossible and Intrusive would get along with their silly boss fights. Yeah, Kupo's leaving Lower Norfair as Nikplayer is in the Dragon fights. I expect to see Spark Opener, maybe some ammo, followed by a grapple kill.
Same ammo straight into the grapple.
Yep. Ooh, this time shows
nice
off
recovery.
Shows off that quick grapple. None of that, carrying around the room tail slap nonsense.
Oh, and we don't quite get the spike suit. Valiant effort, though. I'll say I don't know what we're waiting for. Just. I assume this one has ammo refill and entering Tourney, right?
Yep. For Area Rando, that will be the case. But even if that wasn't the case with this beam, you would be fine. But it is also, the ship is, it's closer to the ship than vanilla by probably, I don't know, like 10 tiles.
Closer to the ship than what?
Where Turian is compared to vanilla, it's like.
Oh, yeah. It's on the other side. Right. Yeah. I was thinking like you meant like someone moved the ship by 10 tiles as a joke or something.
Now that would be funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, just like moving like one thing by like one tile. People would be like, this feels so weird. Like what? I don't.
And people would notice for certain. The attention to detail in this community is very, very high. So both of our runners in Upper Norfair at this current moment, they're about to high five for at least the second time, maybe even the third. But
yeah, they went because they went straight through Green Brinstar backwards. They went straight into Red Tower. There's been a lot of high fiving. Although I think they missed a Red Tower high five because they kept dipping into Norfair. But
in criteria, yeah, also all sorts of fun stuff. But Nikplayer can now safely return to the Turian elevator and not watch the cutscene again, but. There will only be one yellow statue to be grayed out when you go down there in the water.
Yeah, the route was basically determined by going that initial left versus right. And I think the really interesting thing is I don't think either route was like vastly superior. I really thought like, all their decisions were very natural from that point. And one of the routes didn't lead to like a weird dead end, like sometimes happens. So this really just feels like a straight up execution win by Nick, even though we did have like the max amount of divergence early on, which is what you like to see. They sort of just like one kind of like went left and it was like two halves of a circle, right? Like they just kind of converged back at the other point.
Yeah, the biggest thing was that Turian became pretty easy to find again for Kupo, and unfortunately, having high jump much longer as he did wasn't quite enough. And yeah, there was a potential, another divergence place with the
RBO
versus Well, I was thinking, whether you end up going to what becomes Wreckship or becomes Lone Warfare. That was another
Oh,
place that they ended up
oh,
choosing the same.
yeah. I was gonna say that Kupo's route basically gave you that the chance to do the RBO YOLO strat, which probably would have been the quickest way through the seed,
Yeah.
assuming you pull everything off, which is not easy.
It's definitely not a given, but yeah, I do
No,
believe that
absolutely not.
pathing wise, that does end up better most of the time. But you do, I mean, it's hard, and you gotta nail it first try for sure.
Yeah.
Heck, that door in specific deserves a super more than once.
Kupo
The
also
quick
gonna-
grapple.
Yeah. It is still possible to 3-spark here. We're sort of relying on Dragon to give us a goo right away. I assume goos and everything haven't been like seed fixed or anything, have they, in this?
I do not presume they've done anything to the RG in this randomizer.
Yeah.
The Nikplayer did turn off that screw attack on the elevator. You want to do that on a down elevator to save a little bit of time on the animation. When you ride an elevator, normally the screen transition occurs when your head dips below the screen, but if you pause, it happens at the feet. So turn off screw attack, because if you do not do the down back zeb skip, the traditional spin jump method does not work with screw attack because your iframes reset in different ways. Maybe they don't reset at all. I don't exactly know the specifics. I just know you have a lot fewer
It just
with screw
basically
attack.
it instant resets your iframes.
Yeah.
That's why you do like the pseudo screw and stuff into the flip side here is you can also do the morph on morph strat on the second Zeb and just not have to worry about that that at all. You can do a speed skip. Like there's other skips to do that would be even faster than that turn off and just leave screw attack on.
Yeah.
Because I mean screw attack's also nice for escape. So like I think the absolute fastest thing to do here would be to do the down back if you can do that. That's tough.
Yeah.
But I think either doing the morph on morph is generally pretty fast. I think at least the last I checked, Behemoth was doing that in a hundo. So I mean, it's certainly a pretty fast strat if you can do it correctly.
If it's good enough for Behemoth, it's good enough for me. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's I was trying to learn the down back at some point. I saw him doing it in hundo. Like, nope, just doing this. That's fine. I will say part of it being good enough. Oh, very nice. Oh, yeah, very nice baby skip by Nikplayer there. None of that crazy reverse baby skip stuff that we...
Clockwise nonsense. I agree. But yeah, to your point, that's one of the things that I don't like about, the way I do it. Every time I'm turning off screw attack, it really is useful in escape, especially in Leodox. I get hit by at least one enemy pretty much every time.
Yeah, here it's not too bad because you do have the normal setup. And this is the other, if you don't have the wave, it does make this also hard.
Wait, you actually do require wave for the second zep skip. That's the other thing. At least to my knowledge. Because it's a lower...
I'm almost positive you don't.
I don't see, because you can do it from above or below with wave, and you always do it from below without on the first one. The second one is like a tile lower, so I don't know if you can crouch in there.
Yeah, and I'm almost positive you don't need a wave.
Smarter people than I in chat will confirm or deny.
Yeah, literally Audra and Kip are in chat, just not saying anything. Like, just watching me sweat. It's fine. We're gonna let the duck say dumb things and look like a moron. But yeah, Nick, into this mother brain fight. Gonna be real quick here. What's something you would know? What are we talking? Do you
the
need
second zeb skip.
Yeah, the more
whether or not you need wave.
Skip. I didn't think you needed wave to do it. I thought you could do it without wave.
Nikplayer opting to use all of his ammo before using the charge beam. I think supers are best DPS, and then it might be pretty much equal on missiles versus charge beam because it's essentially 600 a second for both. But
yeah, I know the only beam that is faster than supers is full beam. And then yeah, for generally unless it's full, we might just do this. A bunch of retired runners in chat just go. I don't remember.
So Mother Brain
Don't make
2
me
is down
turn
for
on my
Nikplayer.
don't make me turn on my SNES for the first time in like 2 years to test this. I don't have to
You
remember how.
played Rando last year, Duck.
That was like a year and a half ago. I guess it was a year at this point. Yeah. You haven't gotten a single vanilla powerbomb? That's really impressive. That's a lot of weird luck. Yeah, how do you like it? Is this even randomized with these vanilla powerbomb locations?
Final Metroid room here for Kupo. I want to say, so he had just gotten grabbed by the baby last race when Nick was done, so a little bit closer on this one.
Shout out to Dragon.
Yes, shout out to Dragon indeed. But Nick is
probably. I mean, if I'm in Nikplayer's shoes, I'm a little nervous because that was a pretty costly mistake, you know. And as you can see, Kupo not that far behind. You know, I think just a couple other decisions, Kupo definitely would have, you know, been right in this one. But
yeah, especially, and it's a little bit weird to think about. It's hard to say if getting high jump when Kupo did definitely save time. I feel like it probably should. But that's something you could also potentially be worried about if you're, you know, waffling about that unfortunate play to skip East Meridia and try to, you know, just go to the G4 door without a boss killed. That did work out for someone some time ago.
What was I saying about keeping that screw attack on?
Yeah, this is the room where you like screw attack, and Kupo not yet turned it off. I assume he probably is. I don't think he's a down back skipper, but we're about to find out shortly, unless he.
We're about to prove that you can do this stupid spring ball skip.
Kupo is the one out of all of us that knows. That's what happens.
I'm gonna be so mad if Nick finishes before Kupo actually does this.
It's gonna be like right there, honestly. I don't.
It's gonna be annoyingly close. Come on, no! Don't turn off screw attack.
He screwed off screw. That's what I expected.
Come on.
So there is Nikplayer stepping on the ship and taking this series 2-0 with an official race time 1 hour 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Kupo in Mother Brain 1 is going to hit the forfeit just a little bit. And yeah, well done race to both of these players. And we'll see if they want to come in here for an interview.
Yeah, while we're waiting I think we just have one more set on today. Not sure if we got another one approved.
Yeah, later on, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have the 1 seed Audra versus the 16 seed In Funny. And yeah, everything else for round 1 that has been scheduled is on tomorrow. But yeah, looks like Kupo did hit the forfeit, but he's currently still fighting Mother Brain as he is joining us here in the commentary booth. GG's, Kupo.
GG's. I can do two things at once: fight Mother Brain and talk to you.
You and are forfeit. Quite talented.
I've got Goro hands here.
Just the hands, not the arms. It's really weird looking.
Yeah, that's not too accurate.
But yeah, so tell us what you thought about these 2 races. They're pretty close, both of them.
I mean, they went exactly how I expected it to go. You know, Nikplayer has a ton of movement advantage. So at first, I think on like the second seed, I thought there's no way like it's gonna work, but then because there was essentially that pinch point in the pathing, like at the meme route entrance, I thought I was like, oh well, like maybe I have a chance. I mean, honestly, like I'm happy I was in Tourney when he finished. Like I mean, I probably made like a bunch of minor errors, but I don't think I made anything that's like categorically wrong. So like I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like you didn't make any giant mistakes like going to G4 without killing Dragon. That happened to Nick on the second.
He told me, it's like,
yeah.
I thought, I was like, man, I did good. Then it's like I forgot Dragon. It's like I didn't do so great.
I got to make the joke that everyone wants to make whenever they're in commentary booth, so I was happy about it. Especially since it didn't, you never want to see a mistake like that cost the race. So I got my little joke in, and didn't, what ended up being fine for Nick, but
yeah, no. Overall, I mean, like, there's like I feel like pretty good. I feel good that it's like nothing. It's like, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, like horrible decision went wrong. It's like, okay, now it's time for me to like go back and like refine like movement and minor stuff. At least for these. So no, it was good. It was like super fun. It's cool to see this all like coming about. It's been a lot of work behind the scenes getting this up and running.
Yeah,
and it's real fun to play. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for the lots of warning on this one, guys, by the way. It was very appreciated.
No worries. Anytime.
I mean, you got so good at this. Next time we might just bring it on your day of, just to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'm not at a baseball game when that happens next time.
We're playing hockey. Who knows?
I mean, it's speed gaming, right? We should get to gaming with speed. So
it's true. That's
true. I don't see the problem.
Tourney setup percent.
Exactly.
So to that end, you were talking about, you expected the player had the advantage. You went right from the ship both times. It kind of worked out, and it also kind of didn't matter in both situations. Actually, Seed 1, it was worse because Kraid was over there, but was that kind of part of your plan, just try to go somewhere else at the beginning?
I think, honestly, like, I practiced CWJ, like, a bit before this. And it was like, well, everyone always like goes left, and it's like I might as well just try it. But yeah, in both these seeds, like it really just kind of like looped up, and I wouldn't say it was like my strategy. It's like I'm always going right or something like that. It wasn't like Bart always throwing rock, but like it just kind of felt like it made sense
Good old rock.
both times.
Yeah,
good old right. Nothing beats that.
Well. Apparently, whatever Nikplayer did beats it. So yeah.
Push the buttons real good. That's what Nikplayer. Nothing beats the old push the buttons real good. But yeah, this one was interesting because like you had like the maximum amount of divergence early on, but they just sort of like it was like two halves of the circle where you came back. The only thing that really could have happened was your route. You had a potential to do like a full RBO Dragon, which I think was like sort of the god route in this, but that would have been very risky to do.
I literally, I think I tried to vanilla speedrun Super Metroid for the first time 2 months ago. I have like zero vanilla experience. I'm just rando. So it's like when it's like, oh, do RBO strats, like that literally means nothing to me.
Yeah, no. I kind of I'm so brain broken. I know all that stuff, and I was just like, because when we found Plasma, I'm like, oh yeah, Koopa's in Go mode. Just do RVO Dragon. And DJ was like, not everyone's as insane as you, Duck. I'm like, well, just wasting time now, though. Like. No,
I was actually looking earlier. It's like, okay, could Suitless Meridia? It's like B in Logic. And like, I mean, I don't think so because of it's like where the Chozos are, so you wouldn't really need to. It's like go up to like East Meridia, like Suitless, and then potentially get it somewhere because it can't be behind Dragon. So I had pretty much ruled out. It's like just don't try Suitless things in these seeds. It was like just try to make it's like sensible things that are within your ability. It's probably not going to work out, but like if it happens to, then cool.
Yeah, I've made the point a bunch of times that the way if you're a bit of an underdog, you don't really win by like skipping a few things. What you do is you check something your opponent skipped. So like that gravity suit was actually ended up being in a pretty good spot for you because like that was kind of a juicy thing to maybe skip. And like if I was racing you, for instance, I might have gone like, well, look, I can do RBO Dragon, so I'm just gonna skip all of Wreck Ship. and just hope it's like at Ridley or something. But like, you know, then I could, and then you find it, and like that'd be a big catch up for you. So it was in a good spot for you. Unfortunately, Nikplayer is not me. Played a little bit more conservatively, and just got it as well. So.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if that was part of his strat to play conservative. You know, that's another way to sort of avoid the upset. But
yeah, I'm really interested to go back and like watch them and see how they like how how we diverged and things like that. And like I'm still honestly trying to learn a lot. It's like when to skip, when not, especially when there's like quite a few strats where it's like to my ability, it's like just don't skip it.
Right,
It's
yeah.
going to be worth it. So
this is also a really interesting seed for all of that because you know there was a boss area into a dead end at Meme Route and there was another one of those at the top of West Meridia. It's like those are so disparate from each other. Like which one you pick first kind of presses you into stuff as well. So it's hard.
There was one massive error I made. I think it was in the first game where I started doing like Forgotten Highway to Wreck Ship, and then I realized it's like, no, it's like, do not do this. Like, this doesn't make any sense. You're going to get looped around, and then like you're still going to have to do Lower Norfair. So it's like, I think I lost like at least like 2 minutes like going back. I think that was like the first thing where I was like, I definitely messed that up.
Yeah, I would say like this one is probably pretty instructive for like someone like the pick going up because you guys went the different ways. Like you end up getting like high jump and space jump in opposite orders, and like there was this whole part where like you were both in Upper Norfair. You had Varia and Nick didn't, and I think most of our commentary was relatively astute about that. A lot of times I say dumb things, but I don't remember getting called out for being an idiot today. So yeah, I would say like this is a good like instructive one.
I'm looking forward to listening to your scholarly partings upon like the strategies in which we employed.
All right, well,
Duck known scholar.
That's not gonna
basically his middle name.
All right.
Listen, I'm always listen to what I say, not what I do. Like
I'm really excited that this tournament's been like going off though. Like I mean, I expected fully to like go out, but I'm really excited to see it's like the matches over like the next couple of days, and I'm really happy it's not just like the people you would expect to like sort of win in this. There's like players of like all different abilities. So I'm like really happy to see it's like a lot of those matchups happening, and like I'm really excited to see it's like more tournaments like going on. Like that to me is like, playing in a tournament is a lot harder than playing at home when you're practicing. So in a way, it's like having these little tournaments is also practice for being able to do that.
Yep. Should be a fun weekend for all of us. Just want to give a shout out to Nikplayer in chat, thanking us. It was a great race to watch. Especially game one, he was pulling out like every new route strat in Lower Norfair. It was beautiful to see. He played really well in both of these races. So yeah, GDs to you. Again, thanks Kupppo as well as myself been part of the team putting this on. And yeah, like we said, one more match today and then plenty tomorrow.
Yeah, we got a bunch on tomorrow. I think I can't see the chat right now, but like the schedule should be posted in there. And if you want to find out more about Dash Rando, you can find our website in there. And yeah, just feel free to like start running seeds. And it's
And if you'd like to help out with the tournament, please feel free to message me.
Yes,
we
please.
need all the volunteer help we can get.
I'll shout out to everyone doing comms and Gestro for tracking as well, and everyone at Speed Gaming for helping put this on.
Yeah, and thanks to this community too. I've gotten a lot of people volunteering to help with the setup and stuff. Some of the less like glamorous jobs, but definitely the lifeblood of Speed Gaming. So thanks to you guys as well.
Yep. Love to help our own.
Yeah, I think we've thanked each other enough in a circle.
I think no one else. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everybody out there for watching. Like you said, it should be on this channel tonight starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, Audra versus Anfunny, and then tomorrow, hopefully we can get at least a few of those matches restreamed, almost certainly not all of them, but keep your eye on that schedule. We'll have plenty of Super Metroid Randomizer action this weekend. Gave our runners a shout out in the chat as well as the broadcast team, which doesn't include my co-commentator Duck, but he works for the company, so he's not eligible to win the prizes. That's how it works, right?
I've banned myself basically. So also my play has banned my. Let's be honest, like all those tournaments I've won. So
Yeah, but that is going to do it for us. We're going to be getting out of here. Hope to see you again soon. And until then, see you next mission.